In this video, I'll show you how to build models in Stella. I will start with two ways to formulate an instantaneous cause and effect relationship and one case of an accumulating cause and effect relationship. First, a simple instantaneous cause and effect relationship. Let's assume we are dealing with a household economy and we want to keep track of the cost of apples bought every day over a 5-day period. Up on the left-hand corner we have the 4 symbols to build models. It's only these 4 symbols that we need, and you can either click on the symbols and place them in the diagram, or you could use a shortcut. It's Command 1 for stock, Command 2 for flow, Command 3 for converter, and Command 4 for connector. We start by writing a name for the connector. In this case it's apples. And we open it, double click, and then we enter an equation. In this case, apples is decided from outside the model. It's an exogenous variable. So we just want to enter numbers. And in this case, I'll demonstrate how to enter a test input that we call step. So let's say the normal number of apples to buy is 2 apples per day. And then we want to step up this. You see here the built-in function comes up. And then I choose to step up by 2. And that should happen at day 2, after 2 days. So there we have that model, and we need to write the unit, which is apples per day. Okay, we can close it by clicking here or clicking here. Then we want to calculate the costs of apples. So we choose another converter, call that costs, and maybe add of apples. And then we link in, we click on the connector symbol, and we link that in by clicking in the circle and drawing it to the next circle, and then it attaches. And now these two are connected, and we can see how they're connected because apples now shows up here as a required input. And well, we also need the price of apples, right, to calculate the cost. So let's go back here and define a new variable, and now I use Command 3, and there we have this right circle there, and we call that price. And to make the diagram nicer, I move click on and move the title up there, and then the connector will not pass through the name, so that looks better. So let's choose a price. So let's say it's fixed 3, and then it's euros per day. So there we have defined the price. It's a constant price, and now we can calculate the costs of apples. And now you see that both the apples and the price comes up here, and the cost is simply equal to, I don't have to write equal, it's apples times the price. Now we have units already for price and apples, so let's see if we get a suggestion. Suggested unit comes up here. Well, that came up as a very strange unit, so I must have made something wrong. So the good thing here when you use the suggest units is that if you have done something wrong earlier in the model, it may show up at a later stage. So let's go back and look at the price. And I said euros per day, and that's of course not correct. It should be per kilogram. And then maybe we should also look at apples, and I have that in apples per day. Well, let's change that to kilograms per day, so that the price is in euros per kilogram, and now apples is measured in kilograms. So you see here, looking at the units here is very useful. So let's see if I get a new suggestion here, and now it comes up in euros per day, and that's exactly what we want for the costs. So there we have the model, and we have checked the units, and we want to show how it develops over time. But first we have to double click in the white area and look at the model settings. So we want to simulate over 5 days only to make it simple. DT can be 1/10, that's okay. Simulation duration, okay. And the time unit is now days. And then we choose, just click on the graph symbol, place it in the diagram, maybe move it around a little, and then we want to look at the costs of apples and apples. And a good idea always is in the diagram to have 0 showing in the graph. So we click here, keep 0 visible. That may be set by default these days. So let's simulate. And here you see the number of apples started out at 2 kilograms per day, and then after 2 days it steps up to 4 apples. And in accordance with that, we see that the simulation shows that the cost starts out at 3 times 2, that's 6 euros per day, and then it increases to 12 euros per day. Exactly what we wanted to see. Just a small thing here about the time step for a model. Now we chose 1/10. Let's just see here if we choose to calculate only once per day and simulate again, and then you see that we get a much longer step. So if we wanted to have a really sharp increase, a step increase, and show that in the graph, then we need to choose